Hello, welcome to LaTeX workshop second session. My name is Mahdi Gholami and I'm your host today. Now, first of all, there are some issues that I want to talk about before the session to be started. First is that I have received one assignment from one person whose name is Mr. or Mrs. Patel. And the second issue is that I try to briefly touch LaTeX topic due to the limited time, and just tell me if you need more advanced topic and you want to, for example, create some illustrations that you need help with. But in this session, due to the limited time, I was briefly touch some basic about presentation, basic about creating document, creating papers, and etc. In this session, we will be talking about tables, and in next session, for our third session, we will be talking about writing journal paper or conference paper. So for this session, for the first part, I will be talking about tables. So let's get started. So for tables, let me just open TeX Studio. Feel free to use TeX Studio or Overleaf. The code is essentially the same. Okay, let's review our code from last session. We create a document using article class, and then we use graphic X in order to include our graphics with the environment figure, and then we define a path to our image, and we also use libsum package in order to create fake text in order to see what text actually appear in document. We type hello world. We sectionized our document using \section and also \subsection, and then we create paragraphs, and we define an environment, and then we center the image using \centering. We include our graphics. We label our graphics, and there is also a caption defining the figure. We also try to, for example, cross-reference our pictures using \ref. For example, ref picture 1 is a dog, for example. And that was it, our last session. In this session, we are going to create new environment, which is a table. In table environment, we should focus on some different argument that I will be talking in a moment. We can center as image our tables, and also we can define the label to have the option to cross-reference our table. For example, you can choose whatever table you like, whatever the character you like. I use T1 for my first table, for example. You can use also yes, that's fine for now. After that, you need to define another environment inside the table environment, which is tabular. you need to you see that after entering you see this argument calls and the content and the end tabular. In these calls you must define how many columns you need. For example, if you want to, for example, have 3 columns, you just have to tell LaTeX that you want 3 columns, but in this stage you need to define what kind of column do you want. For example, you want right aligned table. This means that you will have 3 columns. Each of them will be right aligned. Right aligned. If you want left aligned, you must add this argument. If you want all your columns centered, you must have this argument as a parameter. So after that you can define your columns and rows. For defining first rows, you can enter anything. For example, A. This after entering the character you want in place, you want in a cell, you must end this with this sign, and then the next cell, and then the next one. After this you see that you have 3 columns and 3 cells are ended now. After that you must add this symbols in order to tell LaTeX that you want to go to the next row. In the next row you must have, for example, another cells, all 3 cells in next row. For example, yes, and this means that your table with 3 columns and 2 rows will be complete. After that you add these symbols and the table is okay. So after after this, after running, compiling, you see that you have very basic tables. In order to have much more depth into it, you can have various things. For example, you can add these symbols in order to tell LaTeX that you want vertical lines between all your tables. After compiling, you see that you have the lines. For creating horizontal line, you can have this line of command. H line means that you want horizontal line just before the first row, and then if you add this argument here, you can tell LaTeX that you want this horizontal line also at the end of your first line. So with this command, you can have all your cells in a, for example, line. So after essentially tables have caption above the actual tables. For this you can add the caption command and tell LaTeX that this is just a table, for example, and this will print the table caption inside above the table itself. So for changing color, you can define row color. this row color after, for example, h line, just before the row itself, you can have row color, and you can define which kind of which method you want to use in order to tell LaTeX the color. For example, I use HTML and tell LaTeX that I want this code, which is a light gray, for this for my first column. You see that row color is kind of orange, highlighted in orange. This is because we forgot to use the package needed for this kind of coloring. So in order to mitigate this problem, we must define the package that LaTeX will use to recognize this command, which is currently unrecognized. So we need to add packages, and the package name is xcolor, and we should tell LaTeX that we want this package to color our tables. So after this, adding this line of code, we can see that the command is not highlighted in orange anymore. So after compiling our code, we can see that our table is our cells in first row will now be they are now in gray, in light gray. So this is useful for long tables, which can help readers to see and read tables much more easily. Another important thing is that you can resize your tables by adding this line of code, resize box. In resize box, you tell that what is your horizontal length. For example, in this case, this is text width. Our vertical length is not important. We tell LaTeX that you can change it automatically, and in text line you can put all your tabulars, all your tabular environment in the curly bracket, and now we can see our tables went to the next page, and this is the text width table. For changing, for example, you can add 0.5 of text width, and this will change it to half of your text width. So you can change it. I trust you for changing it in order to have the best visual experience with it. You can always add more row to this table. For example, G and H and I, for example. This will create another row. Just let me copy and paste. You can change the row color to, for example, after this row color is for this row, this row color should not be changed, and the second one is that, the third one is that, and the fourth one is that. So you see that this can be changed manually, and you can always have whatever color you like. This is just for a test. Another important thing is that you can change the alignment. For example, for right, for example, right aligned cell, you can have this, and if you have cells with different cell size, you can see it quite easily that your cell is now right aligned. For having left aligned cell, you can just change this parameter and have left aligned cells. Another thing is that you can delete the lines that you don't need. For example, feel free to adjust whatever you like, or changing the cell size, cell font, and also padding, margins, and etc. This is an error because we have capital C. We shouldn't have capital argument. So that was it for creating basic table. As I told you earlier, I will not dig into some detail about creating advanced tables. If you need, just tell me. So for the next part of creating tables, I will introduce you to a very good online website for creating tables, which name is Table Generator. Table Generator is a very user-friendly way for creating lots of tables using LaTeX, HTML, text, and all kind of stuff. You just need to tell this website that what you want in a very user-friendly manner, and then it will generate the LaTeX code for you, and you can just use it. For example, if I want my table in, for example, 3 columns and 3 rows, for example, tell LaTeX each column, for example, the ABCD that we created there, and then all the rows you can see that if you have different cell size, you can see that the cells are left aligned. You can change it by this button. After that, you can change the boldness of your text, your if you want your text in italic or in underline. You can change just, for example, one cells if you just want to, and there is also for adding border. You can see this E cell is now bordered. You can remove all your borders. You can justify the border by having a shift key. You can add all the cells. After that, you can merge your selected cells, and you can unmerge them. You can change the text color, you can change the background color of a cell, and etc. You can enter your caption here, and then your label, and after that you just click generate, and the code will be generated for you. You can simply copy and paste the code into your document, and that will be done. There are interesting options here. You can have your caption above and below, as I told you earlier. You can change the layout, for example, center your table horizontally, scale tables to the text widths that I was talking about with resize box command. You can scale tables to column widths. If you have, for example, 2-column page or 3-column page, you can scale your table into the column width. After that, you can rotate your table for example, for large tables, and you can split your tables into multiple pages. So this split table in multiple pages is important, especially for large tables, because in large tables the reader should be notified of the caption in each pages. For example, for 10-page tables, in a 9th page or in 8th page, there is always a possibility that readers lost himself in these tables, and you must remind him of the table and with the table caption. I think I have my thesis, my master thesis, which has a very long table. I think it is in Persian, but could be interesting to you. For example, you can see this is a very long page, a long table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pages. In each page we have the caption above the table, and we have our tables, our rows colored one by one, and this is quite beautiful. You can change the table. You can change also the cells, for example the color. If this, for example, these 2 rows are the summation, I change the color into, for example, more darker gray in order to have the different meaning for from the light gray one. So this was for long tables, and this is a really important repeat header on every page. If you have long tables, you should define each column correspond to what, for example, variable, and with this you can repeat headers in the first row of each pages, and add table continuation header, which is essentially the same and a setting for multi-page table option. So that was it for creating tables using table generator. This is a very useful website that I personally use more often, and after having your code, you can just copy code and paste it wherever you want, and you can have your tables here. Another point that I want to talk about is that the different argument as we create our table. As I told you in last session, that in order to have the exact position for figure, or also for any kind of environment, we can set an argument which has after the environment in a bracket. We can say that we want our environment below the text or in top of the text, and in exact position, and different argument. Feel free to explore those. In order to see the effect of the argument, you must have so much text that, for example, in right now I can create those with ellipsum. You can see that our table is essentially above our in top of our page. Our table is quite large. We can change it by adding an argument and number here, and after that you see that both tables are in top by default. They are sit in top of the page. You can change it by, for example, below, and our first table will be below the text, and our second table is in the last page. We can change it by, for example, exact position, meaning that after the text it should be the table. I can change the position of ellipsum, for example, in between two tables. Now you can see that both tables are separated by the text. So that was another thing that I want to talk about. Another one is that you can have your table of content and also list of tables and list of figures with some simple line of code. I believe after begin document you must have those. Page break after each list would be appreciated, and then we can compile our code. You can see that your list of content here, your sections, your subsections, and your tables. This is because the second table doesn't have any caption, and your list of figure. So I believe that would be enough for this part. If you have any question, feel free to ask me, and I'm here to help.